Mahalo, Lauren. And, it has been such an awesome privilege over the last 10 or 15 years to watch you and Matt grow into such amazing advocates for our Hawaiian flora and to, you know, have you in such important positions, both in Fish and Wildlife Service as well as DLNR, DOFA. It's really, I just feel like the moment we're in right now is really an extraordinary opportunity. And I'm honored that you've asked me to help get this going this morning. So if we could go to the next slide, Gary. So the world has changed a lot since March of 2019, when we all gathered at our National Tropical Botanical Gardens headquarters. It's changed in ways none of us imagined when we sat there. You know, I heard somebody earlier just saying, talking to as we were warming up, how tragic it's been so long since we've seen each other. I really was hoping that that this was going to be an in-person workshop, but COVID has prevented that. So we do the best we can, and in fact, maybe because it's virtual, we'll be able to reach more people. So let's look at the upside. But things are changing, and things are changing rapidly. Next slide. And one of the extraordinary things that science has delivered for us is vaccines. In an unbelievably short period of time, within months of COVID taking the world by storm in the spring of 2020, vaccines had been developed. And by December, they were already being deployed into arms. This is unprecedented in the history of the world, and it's because of science. Science has delivered. Science has changed the game, just as COVID changed the game. And we have an opportunity, and the key part of that was our deeper understanding of molecular biology that allowed these companies to be able to produce these vaccines in such record time. And their effectiveness is incredible. I got the Moderna, and they're saying that it's still 90% effective, even though it's been 7 or 8 months since I got it. So it's really incredible. Next slide, please. We're on a journey of discovery. The workshops and this NSF grant in general have launched us on a journey very similar to what our ancestors were on countless centuries ago, when they launched from the South Pacific off into the unknown. As they crossed the equator and moved into the northern hemisphere, there were different currents, different stars, different ocean temperature. Everything was different, and they were sailing into the unknown. But they persevered, and they succeeded not only in that epic original voyage of discovery, but many other voyages that were launched following that. Today, we are on a similar voyage of discovery as we embark on these workshops that will be vitally important. We will learn about and learn how to deploy new tools that will help us in saving our rare plants that are found only here in Hawaii. Like these epic voyages of discovery, we need to work together to overcome all the odds that are going to pop up in front of us as we work to save this flora that we love so much. Next slide, please. The work in front of us is immense. Gary, I'm not sure why we're getting a black line over the text there. It kind of seems to, I saw that with Lawrence too, so just so you're aware of it. Okay. Yeah, the work in front of us is immense. The colleagues that are in this webinar today have been working, countless hours, hundreds and hundreds of hours each week. But in spite of all this work through all these organizations and dedicated individuals, our PEP list is growing longer, and more than half of our flora is now classified as species of conservation concern. We won't succeed by only working harder. We have to work smarter, and we have to develop and use new tools. And that's what's so exciting about these workshops and the knowledge that this NSF grant is bringing to the table. Next slide, please. The point of the spear. How we acquire and apply and share this knowledge while we're on this journey will determine our success. Let's think about that, how we acquire it, how we apply it, and how we share it. Through the funding of this NSF grant, we've assembled a dream team of scientists, but most are not all from Hawaii. So how do we ensure that this new knowledge is being developed and is equitably shared and applied in meaningful ways so that our practitioners on the ground can have access to it and develop it? You know, back to the COVID vaccine, that's a real big issue right now, is the intellectual property of these companies who develop these vaccines. Should it be made part of the public domain so that other countries, poor countries, can replicate that vaccine? How we share knowledge is really important. How will it help the people who need it the most, who are working to save our endangered flora? I'd like to add that, I think I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. Next slide, please. Okay. You might be wondering, I thought this was a plant genetics workshop. Why are we looking at an archaeological site? Well, in 1997, I was asked to be in charge of restoring this ancient site. Arguably the most sacred site in all of the Hawaiian Islands. It's said to be the largest archaeological construction project in all of Polynesia. This is Pi'ilani Haleheao, located in Kahanu Garden on the island of Maui in Hana, which is one of our gardens. This site was built over 300 years. It took over 120,000 man-hours of work to build it. And it's the size of 3 football fields. And that retaining wall you see there that's stepped back and angled like a hydroelectric dam is 50 feet high, holding back tons of lava rock that was brought by a human chain over 7 miles long from Hana Bay. This site is so sacred that for Hawaiians, any archaeological work done on it, especially invasive archaeological work where you're digging into the site, is as sensitive an issue as you can get. And so it was in the early 90s that Michael Kolb came forward on his quest to get his PhD from UCLA and convinced the Hawaiian community that they should allow him to conduct invasive archaeological research into this site, that it would enrich their understanding of their ancestors and how they built this site. So they agreed. Michael went on to get his PhD, but he never came back to Hana to meet with the Hawaiian community and share the results of his findings. Yes, if you can access his papers, you can read about it and his books that he's published, but the alu ike alu, the face-to-face conversations that allowed him to do the work in the first place, were never replicated and shared. Next slide, please. Let's not make that mistake. And I believe that what we're doing here with these workshops and with this grant is the Pono way to proceed. This is an important first step. And over the next 6 months, our partners will host 10 virtual sessions that will reach hundreds of people, and through their recordings be made available to hundreds more. It's an unprecedented opportunity. And as I said in the beginning, while we all would have preferred to be face-to-face, in a way, forcing us into this virtual world may in fact make this more accessible and more applied coming out of this. Next slide, please. But is that enough? I encourage all of our partners to consider deeper and longer commitments to helping us in Hawaii. I would argue that if Warren Wagner were to go on camera and stand up, you would see his signature aloha shirt, short pants, and slippers. That's because Warren built a love with Hawaii and our flora in the 1980s when he worked at Bishop Museum that he's never relinquished. In fact, he's continued to nurture it, even though he works 6 time zones away, 5,000 miles away in the Natural History Museum at the Smithsonian. Even when he was chair of the botany department, Warren would come to work with his signature outfit, reminding everyone of his love affair with the Hawaiian flora. This proverb that you see on the top here, our Hawaiian ancestors called these olelo no iao. I ola oi, I ola mako ne. This talks about the reciprocal relationship between people and the natural world. Translated, it means, my life depends upon you, your life depends upon me. If we think about that reciprocal relationship, we can take it even deeper into our research. Without people like my friend Steve Perlman here, and I'm sure the OSHA and the rest of it would be appalled to see a picture like this. No helmet, no safety harness, nobody belaying him, just one hand on a skinny white rope as he reaches over to pollinate this Brighamia. People, if you look at this, Steve's relationship to this Brighamia exemplifies this olelo no iao. Steve lives for this moment, and that Brighamia lives because of this moment. I encourage all of you to think about how you can build this same kind of lasting relationship that Warren, Steve, and Anne and others have built. Think of all the grad students that have come through Steve and Anne's labs in Irvine and the countless shirias that have been grown up there. It's an incredible relationship that has benefited all of us in Hawaii. And what we learn here in Hawaii can literally be applied anywhere in the world. We're working in extreme situations, but as Lauren said, what I have found is that the world is hungry to learn how we're undertaking conservation in these extreme situations, and that many of the lessons we learn can be applied to other places in the world. As a result, Hawaii is looked to as a leader, and rightfully so. Next slide, please. This workshop, this grant, and these workshops have the opportunity here to completely transform our understanding. These power of molecular biology and genomics really struck home to me when we undertook the flora of the Marquesas. Here's a young Warren and Dave Lawrence on a boat off of the Marquesas Islands over 30 years ago. When we began this project, all we had as botanists was our knowledge of morphological characteristics, our hand lenses and dissecting scopes. Molecular tools had not become widely available at that time, but they did in the course of this project. And it completely blew my mind. I had always thought of Hawaii as a dispersal, location, kind of in a way, not an evolutionary dead end, but it was so difficult for plants to get here that once they got here, they evolved into new species. And Charlie Lamoureux, who is a professor of mine a long, long time ago, many of you may know Charlie, he described it as the chance of things getting here as very, 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 very improbable. What does that mean? Give it enough time, it's guaranteed to happen. But it only happened very occasionally. And so once they got here, I never thought of them as Hawaii as being a dispersal center. But with the molecular tools that came along, Warren and Dave discovered that a significant percentage of the flora of Marquesas actually was derived from Hawaiian ancestors. That Hawaii not only was producing such extraordinary adaptive radiation and evolution, but it was sharing genetic material with other parts of the world. It's that kind of transformation of our understanding that this project will bring to us. Next slide, please. The work ahead of us is not going to be easy. I think we missed a slide, Gary. Should I go back one? Okay, never mind. Go ahead. Thank you. Nobody said it would be easy. Saving the Hawaiian flora is a long and hard journey, but with the right resources and planning and commitments, I truly believe it can be done. I've approached many BHAGs in my life, big, hairy, audacious goals, and saving our Hawaiian flora certainly counts as one of the biggest. Our ancestors knew how to approach these kinds of unbelievable undertakings, and they left us a roadmap. This olelo no iao, hana alau ke aho, alaila, loa'a ka i'a o ka papa I ka moana. Literally make 400 times 400 fish lines before going after the fighting fish of the sea. Could you imagine to our ancestors what it would be like to bring back a 300-pound ahi to your community? The resource and food that it would provide is unprecedented. And they knew, however, that to catch that fish, it wasn't for the faint of heart. It would take tremendous planning. Next slide. So we need to be well prepared. We need to envision success. And we need to support the preparation of skills and resources. Exactly what this grant envisioned. Exactly what these workshops are set out to be. We are embarking upon a journey that could bring the tools to our conservation community that are so desperately needed. Next slide, please. So as I say goodbye to you this morning and wish you well on this journey, I assure you that together we are making these 400 fish lines 400 times. And together we can achieve our dream of saving our native species, of seeing the biodiversity of Hawaii flourish once again in Hawaii. Thank you, and enjoy the next 6 months. It's going to be quite a ride. And I just want to thank again all of the team that has worked so hard, our partners in planning, and Matt and Lauren for all your work that went into making this, Gary for being the webmaster. I mean, the dream team for all of you, as well as all of our practitioners that work so hard every day. Together we can do it. Aloha, mahalo, imua.